So if y is equal to x plus 7, work out the limit of y as x tends to infinity. So remember, this horizontal arrow means tends to, or you can just think of it as the word approaches. So what happens as x approaches infinity? So we can create a little table. That's a good way of visualizing what happens. X in the first column, y in the second column. So if x is equal to 1, then y is going to be 1 plus 7, which gives us the value of 8. If x is equal to 10, then 10 plus 7 is obviously 17. And we make x bigger because we want x to go towards infinity. So we're trying to make x as big as possible. So if x is 100, then we get a y value of 107. If x is 1,000, we get a y value of 1,007. If x is 100,000, we get a y value of 100,007. And then finally, for this table at least, but you could keep going, if x is 100 million, we get a y value of 100 million and 7. So then you have to ask yourself, well, if I had 100 million pounds, which would be quite nice, would I care about the extra 7 quid? And the answer is no, you wouldn't. It's such a small number, it's inconsequential. So we can see that as x gets bigger and goes towards positive infinity, y also gets bigger. But more importantly, when we were up here, the value of x and y, they were quite different. But by the time we get down to here, the percentage difference between this value and this value is so tiny, we can basically consider these two values to be the same. So what we find is that as x tends to infinity, the limit of y is x. And what we mean by that is while we are always adding 7 onto the value of x to get our value of y, the value of x and y will never truly be equal to each other. But as x tends to infinity, the two things will be so close that we can say the limit of y, the value that y gets unbelievably close to but never quite reaches, is going to be x.